So we are in my little New York City kitchen, and today we are going to make one of my favorite things in the whole world, pie crust. I like pie crust because it makes pie, obviously, not because I just sit around eating pie crust. Pie is my favorite dessert. I love just taking any sort of fruit you have around, any herbs, fresh herbs, honey, molasses, sugar, whatever you got, and putting it in a crust and baking it, and it tastes like summer, winter, fall, whatever season you're in. I love it. So pie crust can be frustrating. She wants to play ball, Mitra. Oh. This is all day with this dog. All day with this dog. So pie crust can be frustrating. Gluten-free pie crust can be frustrating, but once you get the handle of it, it's actually the best thing to know how to do, and you can whip it up really easily and pretty fast. So what I have here is my gluten-free flour blend. So this is 3/4 of a cup of brown rice flour, 1/4 cup of millet flour, and 1/4 cup of arrowroot starch, with 3/4 of a teaspoon of xanthan gum. So 3/4 of a cup of brown rice flour, 1/4 arrowroot, 1/4 millet, 3/4 of a teaspoon of xanthan gum. So that's going in there. They're pretty neutral flours, which I like for pastry. And then I'm also adding 2 tablespoons of sticky rice flour. It's also called sweet white rice flour. It's got a lot of starch. It's really elastic, so it's great for things where you just need a little bit more pull. Pasta doughs, empanada doughs, things like that. And then I have 1 tablespoon of organic cane sugar. You don't need to put sugar in your pie crust. If you're going to do a savory pie, don't. But for a sweet pie, it's just nice to have a little bit of sweetness. So I'm just going to mix those together. And then into that, I'm going to cut 1 stick of unsalted butter. My butter is nice and cold. I just picked it up from the store, so it's not quite as cold as I would want it. I really would want this nice and cold. It's also a warm day in New York. Warmer than usual for November. It snows on Halloween and then gets warm again in December. So see, it's a little softer than I want it. But we'll deal with that later, because sometimes your butter is softer than you're going to want it. So there's my butter. And I'm just going to mix it on low until the butter is completely coated in the flour. Some people like to use a Cuisinart to mix this up, a food processor. You can use it with your hands. My favorite way is with a standing mixer and a towel attachment. So I'm not going to let this go for too long. I just want the butter to be coated in the flour. Some people say until it's cornmeal-like or pea-sized. And then to that, I'm going to add 1 large egg and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. With gluten-free flours, adding lemon or white vinegar really helps them pull together. So there we go. So see, that's about the consistency that I want. So parts of it are crumbly, but you still see pieces of butter. And then to that, I'm just going to slowly add my egg and lemon juice. You want to get it until it just starts pulling together. So like right there. You don't want to pull it into a ball, but you want to get it to the point where it's pulling together. Perfect. Now, you can refrigerate this for about ½ an hour. That's going to make your pie crust more buttery and flaky when you bake it, because you're going to have that really cold butter that when it melts, it's sort of going to create some steam and burst, and it's going to be beautiful that way. But just to show you how, if you don't want to do that, if you've got company coming over, you can. I'm going to flour my board a little bit more with a tiny bit of brown rice flour that I have left. Here's how you can do it directly. So I'm going to take my rolling pin. It's nice and floured. And you roll from the center out and occasionally turn your dough. This is perfect. Perfect! Occasionally turn your dough so that it doesn't stick. See? So you basically roll from the middle out. You don't want to roll back on itself into your desired shape. Obviously, if you're doing this for a pie, you definitely want it round. A galette, you can be sort of more free form. I love making galettes because they're even easier than pie. So there we go. So that's how easy that was. Now, if you want to transfer this. Some people like rolling, sometimes I roll on parchment paper, or I'll roll directly on a Silpat, or wax paper you can roll on. But look how easy this lifts. So what I'm going to do to transfer it, you can roll it up into a rectangle if you want, or you can just sort of roll it gently around your rolling pin. And then if I were making, I can put this right into my pie dish, or if I'm making a galette, I can put it right out onto my sheet. And then for a galette, I would put the fruit right on top, and I'd roll it right in. You could make lattice shapes out of this. You can do so many things with this little pie crust. Beautiful. It's ready for filling. So for this recipe and for full pie and galette recipes, you can go to www.thedustybaker.com. And until next time, I'm Jacqueline, and that is
Samisha.
That's Samisha.
Hey, Jacqueline.
And we are wishing you much joy, much love, and a sweet, sweet life.
Bye-bye.